welcome back to Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nashon Owano. As I had promised you in the first and the second parts of the show, I was going to be joined in studio by Kariuki. Kariuki is the brand manager of Smirnoff Kenya. And as I told you this week, the topic of conversation was going to be on the Kenya Magical Open tournament that is going on at the Karen Country Club. We're just here to talk about the extent of partnership amongst other things. Well, Christine, thank you so much for finding time to come to studio. So much fun it's going to be so much fun having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, maybe people would like to understand the extent of partnership between EABL and the Kenya Open Golf Limited. How involved are you guys in this year's tournament?
So again, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. So KBL, in partnership with Kenya Open Golf Limited, have partnered to bring you the Magical Kenya Open. So the sponsorship will be under one of our great, brilliant brands, Johnny Walker. So we will be the presenting sponsors. So it's Magical Kenya Open presented to you by Johnny Walker. This is an exciting partnership, one that we have been in for about 3 years now, and is bringing to you the series of the European Tour through the Magical Kenya Open, and even the Savannah Classic that will be happening later this month from the 23rd of March.
Okay. Maybe for people who are into numbers, would like to understand how much have you guys, what is the extent of investment that you guys have put in this year's tournament?
So KBL is sponsoring is partnering with the Kenya Open Golf Limited to a tune of 43 million shillings, which is in form of cash and activations all round to bring together this fantastic event, sporting event that is going to be viewed not only in Kenya but by many global viewers across the world.
Okay. And an interesting thing that maybe our viewers would like to understand is you guys are not only involved with the Kenya Magical Open. People would like to understand what are some of the sporting activities that probably you guys are in partnership with to promote talent and mentorship in the community.
That's absolutely correct. So KBL has a deep passion for sporting events, which is a passion point that connects millions of Kenyans. So not only are we in partnership with Kenya Open Golf Limited for the Magical Kenya Open, but we will have a series of events, as I've highlighted, bringing together this across 24 other clubs in Kenya. Outside of golf, we are in partnership with sporting events like football. We have our very own Tusker FC, who have been doing really well in this current season and at the top of their league. Over and above football, we have also been very, very present in rugby, looking at rugby 7s and rugby 15s with our flagship beer brand Tusker.
Interesting thing that probably we won't run away from talking about is the whole COVID-19 situation. I mean, looking at this year's tournament, there are no spectators allowed in this year's tournament. I think our viewers would like to understand how are you guys, sort of like ensuring that you combine, you still engage, people through your products and your brands. So bringing it back to how we're bringing the Magical Kenya Open experience to Kenyans and other millions of viewers worldwide, right? Bringing it closer to you via TV. So we are the presenting sponsors, as we've highlighted, and the official alcoholic beverage sponsor for the Magical Kenya Open and the Savannah Classic Tour. So in partnership, we will be airing this on free-to-air TV. So millions of Kenyans. I know in the previous year, in 2019, we had lots of Kenyans coming in and going to the magnificent Karen Country Club to view and watch as the players take on the 4-day challenge. This year, I know it's a bit different. I myself, as an avid and big fan of golf, I'm feeling the difference of having to watch it from home, but it's not taken away from the fun. So we will be bringing this to all the fans, and over and above that, we will be activating across various golf clubs in Kenya, where people will can also get to participate in the activations. Obviously, observing all COVID protocols, and from the comfort of your home, or from the comfort of wherever you are, even globally, people will be tuning in to see if their players. I know fans of the various players coming from the various countries are also keen to see how the players are doing.
Okay. As a sports journalist, one of the so to speak challenges that I usually face is whenever I introduce myself as a sports journalist, the first thing that comes to people's mind is, tell us about football. But the reality out here is football is not the only sport that people are engaging in. So the perception, particularly with relation to golf, is sort of people look at it as a game of the elite in the society. Maybe I would like to get your take on how important is it to change this perception that golf is a game of the elite in the society, because the reality is anybody can participate in golf as a sport.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's a sport as any sport, open to all. I think for me, what I think about when I think of golf, and then bringing it closer to answer your question, is a sport as any, driven by passion, but a sport that derives, as any sport, a lot of hard work, resilience, and discipline to be able to sharpen your skill and your niche in it, right? So I think even if you look at the partnership that Johnny Walker has been doing over the very, very many years, bringing golf closer home has been one of these big strides that the business is taking and investing behind this sport to ensure that golf is brought closer to Kenyans, and it's how can I say, it's demystified as not this foreign sport or not this far off sport, but a sport for all. And the first step was actually just opening it up, even just for viewership. And I think the partnerships with the business and the brand Johnny Walker have been doing has really helped us edge closer into this journey, and bringing consumers, viewers to see and enjoy the sport and actually get to understand the intrinsics behind the sport, opening up even the training. And if you've actually looked or read into what's happening across, well, this was before COVID, of course, is that there was a lot of training facilities opening up at a very low cost, even training for young children also going on. So it's one of those that the sport is welcoming all, and is not just limiting to a certain percentage or a certain type of people, but open to all, and really just driving that passion of the sport and passion for the brand.
When you're talking about golf, I couldn't help but read the enthusiasm and the excitement in your voice when you're talking about golf. But word on the street is that you play golf. Maybe you could talk to us briefly about your involvement in golf, because it's not something that is only related to Johnny Walker being partners of this year's tournament. So are you involved professionally? It's just something that you do, as a leisure activity?
Yeah, word on the street travels faster. I would love to be involved professionally. No, I've been a fan of the sport. I've been playing the sport for a couple of years now. Again, it started out as a small interest, an interest that built up to be a desire to want to know and learn more. And then I started honing my skills and practicing and playing. As with any sport and as with any game, practice makes improvement. I will not use the word perfect, because that's not where my golf is at, but practice makes improvement. And which is just honing the skills, building that discipline, that hard work, and that resilience. And over the years, I've really, really enjoyed. I have to admit, over the past year or so, I've not been as regular, but my passion for the sport and following what goes on in the sport, both at a national level here in Kenya and globally, has been there for years, and I continue to drive my interest. So yes, I am one of those big fans and enthusiasts to know that Magical Kenya Open is back, and I will be tuned in and following keenly, which I have been doing since it began yesterday. Okay, I want to piggy ride on your experience in the golf course. I think one of the challenges that people usually face, it's not only in golf but in all types of sport, is usually the starting point. Probably there's somebody who's watching and is like, I'm not even sure how I'm going to start. Maybe you could tell us from your experience, where is the starting point? Because before somebody starts, there are so many hurdles that they look at. Like, I do not have, say, clubs. I don't have a membership fee to join a golf course. So what was the ideal starting point for you as an individual? So for me, my starting point is I was piggy riding on another golfer. So I found I had an interest in the sport. I knew someone who was into the sport at the time, and that's where my questions started being directed towards. So tell me more about the sport, let me learn more, let me understand. And then sometimes it's not just, for me it was not just wanting to get into the sport immediately, but even just going to the course, observing for myself and saying, okay, this is something I'm really keen on. So, and there are many clubs and courses that are open. It doesn't have to You don't have to have your kit ready. You can go and hire a kit. You can go and speak to the members or the committee of a club nearer to you and get to know more, ask the questions, see how there are many unlocks to this. And I think the only way to pass the first hurdle is to ask. Once you ask and once you drive that intrigue, the solution is usually right there.
So it's all about curiosity, you know, and
yes, absolutely,
and being enthusiastic about the sport that could probably drive you in the direction.
Absolutely.
Maybe as we wrap up, I know there are women in sport who are watching the show. Probably as we wrap up the whole conversation. What word of advice would you give women in sport? Because the reality out here is, in as much as we may not want to delve into the conversation about the disparity between the male athletes and the women athletes, there's still those disparities that are there. What would be your word of advice to women in sport? Because you're a golfer yourself. You mentioned not professionally, but we hope you get professional one day where we'll be watching you in the Kenya Magical Open. But just as we wrap up that conversation on golf.
For me, yes, as I said, golf is a leisure, is a sport of leisure. And how I look at it and how I really admire other women in sport. It is not only golf. If we look back at the partnership Guinness had with Tabitha, the first lady Kenyan referee who was actually under FIFA and went really far and did a lot in partnership with Guinness and in her sport, is just that sheer resilience and grit to keep pushing, break all the boundaries. And because the truth behind it is that in sports and in many things in life, discipline, hard work, and resilience is what brings us out, right? So get that grit, bring it out within you, and that passion and resilience, and just keep etching your skill, keep building onto it, and breaking new records and world records. And I don't believe there's one sport we can look into and say, oh, we've not seen a lady playing in this sport, from golf to tennis, to football, to rugby. The list is endless, right? Yeah. And it's all within our power to come forward and actually play and participate and get our voices, our perspective, and our winning streak also recorded within the sporting activities.
Okay, thank you so much, Christine. It was so much fun having you on the show. Looking forward to having you on Metropole Sports Center another time to talk about not only matters Magical Open, but also matters sports with relation to the KBL as a brand. Time for us to switch gears into the Events Watch segment of the show, where I'm going to be telling you some of the events that you need to watch out for this coming weekend. Now, the following events are going to be taking place in the English Premier League. The following matches are going to be honored. That is Brighton versus Newcastle United, Aston Villa versus Tottenham Hotspurs, West Ham United versus Arsenal. Then in the Kenya Premier League, the following games are going to be played. Nairobi City Stars is going to be playing against Tusker FC, Vihiga United versus AFC Leopards, Wazito FC versus Bandari FC, Nzoia Sugar versus Ulinzi Stars, Bidco United versus Gor Mahia, KCB versus Zukericho, and finally Kakamega Homeboys versus Sofapaka. In the Kenya Magical Open, which is a golf event that is taking place in the country this week, the tournament actually started yesterday with the Kenya Savannah Classics, which is set to run from the 18th to the 21st of March. And then the Magical Kenya Open is going to be honored from 23rd to 26th. That is the better part of next week. Important to mention that this year's tournament, because of the whole COVID-19 situation in the country and in the world, no spectators are being allowed to attend the event. All the participants of the tournament have been placed in a bubble, which basically means that they are not going to be allowed to go out of the perimeter of the tournament up until the tournament comes to an end later on next week. Well, that's all the time that we had on Metropole Sports Center. Do wish you a fantastic weekend. See you next week, same place, same time.